Ferrari never raised a single safety concern while watching this rebuild happen in real time. They watched closely. They even sent Matt Armstrong parts when he reached out. And then, at the very last step, when the car was finally ready to come back to life, the system said no. The battery system locked. Now the car won't charge, the car won't start, and nobody seems to have a clean answer for why. So here's the question that's sitting in the middle of all of this. Is this a deliberate lock by Ferrari, or is it a crash-induced safety response built into the car from the factory? Because those two things might look identical from the outside, but they mean very different things for the person who owns the car. If you care about owning the cars you actually pay for, stay with me. Because this story goes further than one battery and one rebuild. Let's set the scene properly. The Ferrari 296 GTB is not a simple machine, it's a hybrid supercar. It has a combustion engine and an electric motor working together, which means the high-voltage battery system is not just a convenience feature, it is core infrastructure. It is load-bearing. And because of that, Ferrari and engineers like them design crash sensitivity directly into the battery management system. When a car takes a significant impact, sensors detect it, the system registers the event, and in some cases, the battery locks itself as a protective response. That's not a conspiracy. That's physics and liability working together. But here's the twist. Matt didn't just dive into this car with a wrench and hope for the best. He went through a proper rebuild process. Ferrari supported him during that process. They engaged. They helped source components. That's not the behavior of a manufacturer trying to shut someone out. That's the behavior of a company that was, at some level, watching this rebuild happen and not blocking it. Which makes what happens next so hard to explain. The car is rebuilt. It's at the stage where it should charge, it should wake up, and instead, the battery is locked, not damaged, not missing, locked. And that one word is doing an enormous amount of work in this story. So why now? Why at the last step? Why not earlier in the process when Ferrari had every opportunity to flag this? That's the question that starts to make this feel like more than just a safety protocol doing its job. And this is where it gets tricky, because there are two very different explanations sitting side by side. And right now, nobody outside of Ferrari's engineering team can tell you with certainty which one is true. Explanation 1. The battery locked during the crash. It's been locked this whole time. The rebuild process didn't trigger it and didn't resolve it. It was always going to require a factory-level reset to clear the crash event from the system. That's a safety outcome. It's frustrating, but it's logical. Explanation 2. The battery system has manufacturer-level controls built in that are designed, intentionally or not, to ensure that a car which has been through significant damage cannot return to full function without the manufacturer's involvement. That's not just a safety outcome, that's leverage. And the reason this matters is because those two explanations lead to completely different conversations about what car ownership actually means in 2025. Think about where we are right now across the automotive industry. Right to repair is not a fringe issue anymore. It's a legal battle, a political conversation, and a consumer rights debate happening simultaneously in multiple countries. The question is simple. If you own a machine, do you have the right to repair it yourself? Or does the manufacturer retain control over whether that repair is recognized by the machine itself? For decades, that question applied to software, to iPhones, to tractors. Now it applies to Ferraris. Matt Armstrong rebuilt this car. He put in the hours. He sourced the parts. He documented the process. By every traditional definition of ownership and effort, this is his car. And yet it won't start. Not because it's broken, because it's locked. Now the real question becomes, who holds the key to that lock? If the answer is Ferrari and only Ferrari, then what we're looking at is a situation where independent rebuilds of complex modern supercars are not truly independent. They can go 95% of the distance. They can get everything right. But that final 5%, that unlock, that reset, that digital clearance belongs to the manufacturer, and that changes the economics. That changes the power dynamic. That changes what it means to own one of these cars outside of an official dealership ecosystem. Because here's what that structure creates, whether it was designed that way or not. A world where the manufacturer is always the last step, always the gatekeeper, always the entity whose cooperation you need before the machine in your driveway becomes a functioning car again. And if you're Ferrari, if you're any manufacturer in this position, you don't even have to do anything aggressive to make that happen. You just have to build the safety systems the way you've already built them. Let the engineering do the work. Let the battery lock itself after a crash, and then simply be the only party with access to the reset. That's not villainy. It might not even be a deliberate strategy, but the outcome is the same. Now put yourself in Matt's position for a second. He has done everything right. He approached this rebuild seriously. He reached out to Ferrari and they responded. He followed the process. He rebuilt the car to a point where it should be functional. And now he's sitting in front of a car that is mechanically complete, but digitally frozen. That gap between physical completion and functional operation, that's where the frustration lives. There's a version of this where the battery resets, the car starts, and this becomes a great chapter in a great rebuild story. But there's another version where that reset requires Ferrari's direct involvement, where that involvement comes with conditions, where those conditions reshape what independent rebuilding actually looks like for every person who comes after Matt. And that version is worth taking seriously, not because Ferrari is the villain of the story, but because the story reveals something true about where we are with complex modern machines. The mechanical and the digital are inseparable now, and whoever controls the digital layer controls whether the mechanical layer functions. Here's the full joined script. So here's where we land. Matt Armstrong rebuilt a Ferrari. Ferrari helped him do it. And then a locked battery system stopped everything at the finish line. Whether that's a crash safety response, a manufacturer control mechanism, or some overlap between both, the result is the same. A fully rebuilt car that won't start, an owner who can't drive what he rebuilt, and a question hanging over all of it. When a car can be locked by software, when a reset requires manufacturer access, when the final step of ownership is not in your hands, but in theirs, who actually owns the car? Is it the person whose name is on it? Or is it the company whose code is in it? That question doesn't have a clean answer yet, but it's going to. Because as more cars become more digital, more rebuilds are going to hit this exact wall. And what happens next with Matt's Ferrari might tell us a lot about where that answer is heading. Matt Armstrong didn't cut corners. He didn't rush the job. He did the work, documented everything, and even had Ferrari's cooperation along the way. By every traditional measure, he did what an owner is supposed to do. He restored something broken and brought it back to life. But at the very last step, the car said no. Not because of bad wiring, not because of a mechanical fault, because of software. A locked battery management system that only the manufacturer can reset. One line of code standing between a fully rebuilt supercar and actually driving it. And that's the part that should make every car owner pay attention. Not just Ferrari collectors, not just rebuild enthusiasts, everyone. Because this isn't really a story about one man and one car. It's a preview of what modern vehicle ownership is quietly becoming. Matt Armstrong's situation might get resolved. Ferrari might step in, do the right thing, and get that car running. But the principle behind it, that a manufacturer can effectively lock you out of your own vehicle, that doesn't go away when one case gets fixed. So watch this space, because the way this ends for Matt is going to signal something. Either manufacturers start loosening their grip, or owners start losing a fight most of them didn't know they were in. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think software control over hardware you own is acceptable? Have you hit a wall like this with your own vehicle? And if you think more people need to understand what's actually happening with digital car ownership, share this. Because this conversation is just getting started, and the more people in it, the